This is, as you all know, Stewardship Sunday. And I thought I would deliver the stewardship sermon today from the pulpit because I've been mindful lately of the wonderful and rich tradition that St. Mark's has as a parish. And I wanted to stand in the same place as other rectors have done over the years to speak to you today. And many of you know far more about the other folks who have stood here to do this than I do, and some of you may not know any of them. So I am going to try in the best tradition to invoke, but also inspire, and we'll see if I succeed or not. Today's gospel, and indeed the epistle from Timothy, is really they're focusing on the concept of what it is to be a Christian community. What it is to gather as Christians year after year, to live together, to strive to be disciples amongst ourselves, and also to gain strength from them to be disciples into the greater world. And perhaps there is no more important moment in our lifetimes to do this, to find the strength among ourselves, to shine God's light into a world that just seems increasingly fractured, increasingly controversial. I don't have to stand here and list for you a dialogue of places in our world that need light. You all know what they are. What we need to do as a community is to try to be empowered to bring that light there and also to shine it for the person to the right of us and to the left of us. This is a remarkable moment in our world. It's also a remarkable moment in the life of our congregation. For if it weren't for the witness and generosity of several amazing people, I would be standing here today launching a stewardship campaign. Because there are problems with the boiler, the roofs are leaking, the ginkgo tree's roots have destroyed the underground drainage system going on to Dorset Road. There are buckets still in the choir room. The list goes on and on. But I don't have to stand here and do that today because of some remarkable gifts, some inspiring gifts. Some gifts targeted directly for the maintenance of our church. The other celebration of generosity is there have been gifts targeted toward the beautification of our sanctuary. You probably haven't noticed because we haven't gotten around to relamping yet. But if you look at the walls, they've all been painted the new color. The new oak trim is across the top. In the next few weeks, these doors will disappear and glass doors will appear. Looking out on a new little terrace area with a bench given in loving memory of Larry Germain, who some of you knew. And as you walk up to communion, you can look out and see that special area, and then the new ark for the children, which was given also as a special gift to the church. And in the spring, the butterfly garden, that is yet another gift. What an abundance of generosity. So why do I say it's a remarkable year for the parish amidst all these generous gifts? It's a remarkable year because now it's up to us to fund the regular budget. These gifts were given for repairs, and they saved us. They were given to beautify the church, and they inspire us. But they don't touch the budget. And the budget is still where it has always been. But because of these gifts, we don't have to find ways to sustain ourselves just to be us. We need to find ways to enlarge ourselves, to enrich our spirits, to open our minds, to help fund St. Mark's not only at the same level, but this year we have an opportunity. If we increase our budget by just a little bit, we have the opportunity to pour all these funds, not into a roof or a drain or a piping system. We can pour it into ministry amongst ourselves to those who need it, and ministry into our community and beyond to those who are desperate for it. Shining our light this year has more potential for this congregation than we have had in a decade. Let's live into that potential. Let's shine that light so brightly. Let's gather together in community as Christ would have us do, as disciples, followers, fellow Christians. As part of that, I invoke the history of this remarkable congregation. I'd like to invoke the history of the church. If you go to Jerusalem and stand in one of the great churches called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there are Paschal candles. You know, we have a Paschal candle in the back by the font we light when there's a baptism. The Paschal candles there, you can barely put your arms around because they never go out. They burn a year at a time. That is invoking the presence of the Spirit in light. So I would like to light this candle, the kind of candle that burns over the Blessed Sacrament night and day at St. Mark's. I would like to invoke this electronic candle, which many of you see the angels carry on the Christmas pageant, because we don't want their halos scorched. And then I'd like to share a little story about being on a pier in India a number of years ago. And standing on this pier, you have to go from boat to boat to boat to get to the dock. And there were a number of people who were having a great deal of trouble in the dark. They were older. They couldn't see what was going on. And they needed to have some light. And I seemed to be the only person to figure out that there are multiple ways to have light. There's an ancient way, there's a modern way, and there's a brand new way to shine light in our world. My friends, as you come forward, you are the light of the world. The Holy Spirit is in each and every one of us. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.